Critics assert that the Save America Act will somehow hurt American voters. That's just absurd and absolutely not true. One of the claims that they have made in criticizing this bill is that they say that newly married women would be disenfranchised because they've had a name change. Well, there's many women out there, including myself, who've been married and changed our names when we re-registered to vote. And likewise, the idea that this bill would make it impossible for U.S. service members to vote if they're deployed overseas, well, that's completely false as well. For all of those procedures that are in place today continue to stay that way after this act is passed and signed into law. They also say that this act requires voters to have a U.S. passport to register. That's not true. There's multiple options that are given to provide proof of citizenship, including military ID, government ID, photo ID with a proof of birth and location. In fact, if an individual has no documentation, they have the option of appearing at an election office and providing an affidavit stating that they are a citizen of this country. Now, another ridiculous conspiracy theory that we've heard is that the federal government will remove people from state voter rolls. Well, that's just simply not true. It's state and local election officials do the registration, and they maintain these lists going forward. We just help them do their job and make sure that they're doing it correctly. Each of the arguments that have been laid out to criticize this bill are baseless speculation from the radical left because they want illegal aliens to vote in our elections. They want to disenfranchise American citizens by telling them that their votes don't matter. There's only one reason that anyone would oppose this bill, and that's because they would want to cheat. They want illegal people and aliens in this country to be able to vote for them and to rob the United States citizens of their vote. And that's why they resist us at every single level when we're trying to deport people back to their home countries or stop them from committing crimes against the American people. That's why they do not support voter ID, proof of U.S. citizenship, or clean voter rolls. That's why the Save America Act is absolutely critical to our country's future. Because without secure elections, we lose what makes our country so great. And then when we lose that, we lose our country altogether. Almost 200 years ago in 1833, a Supreme Court Justice Joseph Story warned us with this. And he warned us this about illegal entry into our country. If aliens might be admitted indiscriminately to enjoy all of the rights of citizens at the will of a single state, the Union itself might be endangered by an influx of foreigners, hostile to its institutions, ignorant of its powers, and incapable of a due estimate of its privileges. There is no room in our election system for people that aren't Americans. There is no room in our election system for fraudsters and foreign influence. The Declaration of Independence said this simple, self-evident truth, that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. Fair and secure elections are how we measure the consent of the governed, and they ensure that our American citizens' voices are heard. Our founders, at the time of the creation of this country, pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend our freedoms. In fact, the Continental Army went for years without being paid, and they braved through the brutal winter at Valley Forge as well. They did all of this because they wanted to ensure that their people, their families, and that their descendants could continue to live freely and could govern freely. If we don't uphold this bedrock principle of representative government, then our nation's choices will be decided by illegal aliens, by criminals, by foreign actors, and people that don't support America being the greatest country in the world. Our nation's choices, instead, if it were allowed to degrade our election system, would allow illegal aliens, criminals, and others to undermine our country. This kind of election security is something that the government owes to the American people, and it's something that we, the American people, owe to ourselves. We need to pass the Save America Act. We need to pass it today and sign it into law to ensure that the integrity of our election system stays in place for years to come.